Okay, this is EXG, Excelsior Gold Limited. I've just drawn a pitchfork from the first pivot load over here, and I like this structure because it gives us, if I extend the parallel lines of the pitchfork, we get a couple of good touches. So I think this is a good channel to work off. So it's been following. This is the daily chart. And you see where smart money sells, smart money typically sell on up bars. Not always. Sometimes it's them trying to absorb supply from the left, but when you've got nothing to the left, then a lot of times there's a lot of professional selling in there. That's knocked it back on high volume, but there must have been a bit of support coming there because it's tried to rise up, be it on less volume, but eventually too much supply, high volume down, sprung up, test. It's a bit and it's a 10-13 cent stock and the volume's very light, so it's going to be very erratic and probably not that reliable on the daily, but some things do stand out. And we had this high volume up, so that's trying to absorb the supply here. We know that because the next bar's up. Then a high volume up again, and then we up thrust, and we're hitting the top of this uptrending channel now, or the top tine of the pitchfork, so it's due for a pullback, and I would think this volume here needs to be tested, and they'll bring it back to that area to test, and that will be around probably the median of the pitchfork. So it's in an uptrend. I'd be looking at the dips to see for any sign of strength as it comes back. I would expect it to come back within this bar. That's the problem with a penny stock, is when they do retrace, I mean, they can retrace up to 30, 40, 50% just because it can still be in an uptrend. So I'd be looking at the dips on that one, because they can even come back and test all the way within to the bottom. See the bottom of this bar. So I've marked the high volume bar over here as support resistance, and this high volume bar here is support resistance corresponds. And so they can even come all the way down to the bottom of the channel and test. And your better entries really are at the bottom of the channel, or if it makes a pivot low after a high volume area like this one here, and wants to pivot on the median line, that would be okay as well. I think buying at the top of the channel or at the top tine of a pitchfork, you're really vulnerable to profit taking, and that's tried to go up on high volume, a relatively high volume, and close low, so there's selling in the top there. It's professional selling because there's no one. You can argue it's either professionals buying, absorbing trapped holders to the left, or it's the professionals selling, and there's no one really to the left here for professionals to buy from, so they must be selling into some demand from the herd. So I would expect that to come back and test this area of supply anyway. There's no long entry until we see some testing of the supply, and they generally won't leave those areas of supply behind without testing somewhat. So even when they broke out of this area here, they came back and tested. I see light volume around on top of this bar. The bars aren't really nice on the daily, like we like to see. They're erratic, but so you're looking at them in a very general sense. But we're in an uptrend. It's caught supply now. I'd expect it to come back and test within the body of this bar. Just have a quick look at the weekly chart. So at high volume up, come back. That's a bit of a test. It's gone up really high on increased volume, so that's quite good. And they are selling in the top there definitely, because the volume's a bit excessive. We like to see slightly more volume and spread, and we don't like to see excessive volume compared to the test on the next bar. So I expect they will test within the body of this bar, same as the daily, and they can test as low as the 10 cents. So you just got to be careful with these penny stocks, because they're very volatile and very erratic. But I expect that to come back and test now. That's EXG. This is BLT, Benetech Limited, and I've charted this before. What have I written? I'll cheat now and look what I've written before. I think what I've done here is mark, this is the weekly chart, I've marked these high volume spiky bars. You see this real big one in particular, and that's just all selling. It's very erratic, isn't it? It's a penny stock, and it's acting very erratic, but some things stand out. You see the high volume going up, catching lots of supply, and they push down, and there's not a lot of supply coming in, so it allows it to push up. But all these bars are closing off well off the high, so a lot of selling. That knocks it back. I mean, you could trade it, I suppose, and these volatile spikes if you're day trading it, but really for longer term, it just shows a lot of selling going on. Come back again, then we've got this really high volume going up. That's knocked it back, so full of selling. And I've marked some of this high volume bars as support resistance as well, as particularly this one. And we had a spike up, probably some announcement, closed low, so it must have been selling. And that's knocked it back. The test fails because price drops, it doesn't rise, so that becomes a sign of weakness as well. The test is light volume down on the lowest volume in 3 bars, and then a successful test have the next bar closing higher on increased volume and spread. Not too much, but increased volume and spread. This is failed, so that just shows a lack of demand. Then they finished selling and have gone home, and when we do see the volume kick in, the result is that price goes down, and we have low volume coming down here now, so not a lot of selling pressure. It's broken this low over here. What's that, the all-time lows? I'll mark up the all-time low. See, it's broken off the all-time low as well, so it's just, there's no selling pressure here. Suddenly we get a boot kick, so some sort of announcement, but it closes off the low. Next bar closes down, so a lot of supply. But you are going to get a lot of supply now from trapped holders here, so you're actually going to need a lot of volume to break up through there. And I think what you need to see is a series of higher lows and higher highs now before you're really bullish. If they do start accumulating around here, what you'll see, and it can take a while, is start forming a shallow basin, like a upside down mushroom cup or cup, a shallow cup formation like that, and that'll show some accumulation going on, and that might be the start of it there. Who knows? We'll just have to see, but I think it's, sometimes it can take a while to recover. So that's what I'll be looking for, that shallow cup, or if we start making a series of high highs and higher lows. I mean, at least we need to get a higher low in place as well and retake our 2.1 cents. But there's a lot of areas of weakness now behind us, and that's really not something I'd be interested in. And if you think it's worth $1, don't let me stop you buying it, because we are at all-time lows now. So, but they can go lower still. If I look at the daily, it's not telling me a lot, except that's selling. You see how it works. Smart money, sell on up bars and buy on down bars. So a high volume, get up thrusting, it's full of selling, knocked it back. High volume up, closing well off the low. Again, and knocked it back. So that's full of supply there. And we get volume kick in, but it doesn't go a lot lower. So a little bit of support coming in there. The 1.8 cents looks like. Looks like that's been supporting at the moment. But really, it's not one I would be. We want to see it make some high lows at least and a higher high, and get some sort of, be able to draw some form of uptrend channel to at least speculate on, I think. But anyway, that's BLT. This is SUM, Sumatra Copper and Gold. I'll just have a look at the weekly chart, see what's happened. Again, your high volume up, next bar closing down, so it must have been selling, otherwise we couldn't close down. So smart money typically sell on up bars because they need buying pressure from the herd to sell into, to offload into. So when you see high volume up closing on the low, you're really wary. You want to see that volume tested. But if the next bar closes down like that and takes out that low, it's generally not a good sign. I've held it up for further distribution, but for the longer term, they were distributing up here. This is an area of distribution. I might mark the low of that bar as future resistance, and then it's just fallen off from lack of activity, lack of demand. There hasn't been a lot of activity or interest going on. I'll just try and zoom in. What can we do? We can probably put a pitchfork on there. That's a pretty steep one. It's poking its head out of there at the moment. We'll probably can try that one there. That might be a better one to use. You can put probably a little channel there. Take that out of the way, put that in the middle, roughly. That's probably what I'd be looking at. So you got the top of your downtrend channel there. We really want to see an uptrend channel start forming here with a higher low. Had high volume up. We've had not a lot of selling pressure. We had this huge shakeout here, or huge. There's not a lot of volume behind it, but we've had high volume down. This is the August lows. Next bar closes up, so it must have been selling in there. And then they come down. We test within the body of this bar, the low of this bar. We dip below, and we don't find a lot of selling pressure now, just below this bar. And that's given us a spring up. So that looks okay, actually. The volume's excessive here, so that's the only problem. But what we want to see now is that volume tested. But a lot of times you'll get these low volumes that it's a test after a shakeout. So we've had a big shakeout here, and we've had a test. We've had a response to that test, and it's the lightest volume in 3 bars, so a good one. Right below there, and I've sprung back straight back up into the body of this bar on high volume. Now, volume's really high, but we need high volume to absorb all the trapped holders who are now left behind in this uptrend. So that's looking okay, but that's actually looking it's looking like a positive start anyway. It's something we can work on. It's that could be full of selling as well. Well, it is selling, but we want to know if it's the is it the herd selling, getting out of bad positions, or and professionals buying, absorbing that selling. If it is professionals buying and absorbing that selling, they will want to absorb that supply. They'll want to test that high volume area again. So we want to see evidence of testing in that bar, and really I would want to see them take out that high there and retest. But or even if we were to take out the high of this bar next week and come back and retest, wherever it goes, I expect it to come back. If it does spring higher, which it can, I would expect them to come back and retest within the body of this bar. And if that gave us a higher low, then we could draw a little uptrend line, and then we can watch for signs of strength on top of that uptrend line. We don't have one at the moment, but that's looking potentially positive. It's just that high volume there, but saying that, it's only 6 million share. What is it? 6 million? 5.8 million. 5.8 million. So it's not really high, but it's high relative to what it has been. That's low selling pressure. Test after a shakeout. It's quite. That's confirmed by the next bar up, so it's quite bullish actually for the short term at least. The excessive volume is a bit of a worry. That's so we would expect that to be tested. But you're a bit of a catch-22. You're wary of your high volume up bars, but you need volume to get through. So it's just a wait and see now if they're going to test that volume. If we see them testing that volume, that's light volume down bars, closing high, narrow spread, like that one, coming into the top of this bar if it goes higher. And then that can run run higher again, or if they're just selling it and rolling us over further down the track. So what we need to see now is a higher low form to confirm that this is buying in here, and then we can draw a bit of an uptrend channel or uptrend line that we can watch for signs of strength. Potentially looking okay. We'll just have a look at the daily quickly. That high volume up, it's gapped up over this resistance level here, closed on the low, so full of selling. It's catching supply above here, and bring it back again, close low, close off the low. So it tested that breakout line, moved up on no demand, so there's not a lot of demand in that last bar, but I think we need to be looking at the weekly. So they may come and test this line again before taking it higher, and that wouldn't be a bad thing if we get a test of this breakout line on really light volume. That would be good. But so you can see this as no demand, or you can see this as, well, they've absorbed a lot of the supply coming down on this down bar. They've taken out a lot of the sellers, and it's been allowed to rise on wider volume. So you can see it that way as well. But I think they may test within the body of this bar again, within this breakout again on light volume. So that's what we're looking for on the daily. But I think we need to take our cue off the weekly and wait for that higher low, and then we can look for signs of strength on top of that. But yeah, on the daily we really need to get it over, because that's a really high volume closing low, so that's catching a lot of supply. And that's, some of it will be from here, and we want to make sure it's not professional supply as well. So I would want it to I'd want it to see it take that out. Actually, I want to see it take that out and test on top of that, and that will give us a bit of an uptrend line to look at if it did that. So very wary now, but it's potentially something going on there. We'll just have to keep our eyes open, and because we have a test here after a shakeout, which is quite bullish, and a response. It's just a response being a bit excessive in the volume side. So we'll want to see. This could be the start of some accumulation. So it might go sideways for a bit while they accumulate and try and whip you in and out of positions. I think you'd be expecting a bit much for it to just zoom up straight away. But it takes time. Once you sell out like this, once professionals sell out, they can sell out a lot on buying pressure, but they need really strong selling pressure to take big positions in. And there hasn't been a lot of selling pressure coming down, so it may take time for them to accumulate as they go up and down within that range. And I'd be looking, I'd be looking for our higher low, and then signs of strength on top of that higher low uptrend line. Anyway, that's SUM. Okay, this is OEL. Looks like we've had a bit of a fall over here in 2008, GFC. We've set up this bit of a basing pattern here. It's just been moving along. It's probably been just slowly accumulating as it goes within this tight range. And it does actually swing a bit. Well, it's what have we got here? So this is actually between 12 cents and 6.8 cents. So it is, when we zoom in, it does look a bit more volatile than which it is actually. Let's have a look. We'll probably put a pitchfork there, our latest one. So yeah, that's accumulated within a range. I'll mark off your high volume bar on the weekly there, which is that one. And I'll mark off the low of that bar, and that's sort of defined our range. As it's tried to get up there, it's been sold into. You can see here it's been sold into, and it's tried to rise on whatever bit of demand there was left. I'll mark the high as well. Where's your next high volume bar? As your big up thrust. I'll mark that high as well. but I think this is defining a range at the moment. So high volume up, come back, they test it, and it allows it to go up on less volume, come down less, test it, and we get excessive volume coming in, and this just isn't able to maintain that high. Test it, excessive volume coming in, so they're selling it as it gets above this trading range. Professionals are capping it in the top there, and that's because they want to buy at lower prices, but they're maintaining this low of this bar here at the moment, which is good. So that's where I'd be looking at. You've got so that's around what, 7.2. Come down, push below that level now, but the volume's really low volume. Then we've had a response to that low volume. That's actually quite bullish short term, so that might make a wander back up to the top of the channel. It's hit that median line and found resistance, so it may come back and pivot there, or it may if it does move back above there, I'd expect them to come back and retest that median line. Look, I think that's your risk. I mean, if you want a 7.2, I think, or you could put the low of that bar there at 6.8. But you know, it's not really doing a lot at the moment, except that is a bit bullish, except it's a lot of selling in the top of that bar. But it's not a lot of volume. Having said that, what, 3,000 shares from an 8-cent stock, so that's a bit hard to read that way, being not very liquid. Have a look at the daily. It's all over the place. You know, I don't think we can say much about that. I think I would be looking for it to break above, to make a pivot low above your 9.9 or 10 cents there, which it hasn't been able to do yet. It's gapped up to that level, but hasn't been able to. You want it to take it out properly and then swing back and make a swing above there somewhere to show at least to be able to give us some sort of uptrend line that we can have a look at. At the moment we don't have one. We've got a whole heap of downtrend lines. We've got that one. I mean, yeah, so not one I would be looking at. I mean, if you think it's really cheap and it's going to be worth $1, then don't let me stop you buying it. I know nothing about it. I just know it's not something I would trade. I'll just leave it alone. Just because it's not really talking to me, not really telling me a lot, except that we're trapped within this trading range and still are. But anyway, that's OEL. This is BRU on the weekly. What can we do with that? That's I can probably put I'll try and see if we can put some lines on it. Well, we had this high volume spike up full of selling that's knocked it back in the past. This is the weekly chart. It's very erratic, isn't it? So mark off the high, low of that bar, which we're challenging now. Then we had this high volume spiky bar up. It's knocked it back. So it's still mark the low, the high of that bar as well. And we've gapped right up above that high volume, tested again, closing high. So that's tested that, but it's gone. It's gapped up. We don't like them when they gap up like that, because it means they're avoiding buying at resistance levels. That's why they gap those up. So it's gapped up. It's selling in it. Got a bit of selling in it at the top there. And they've tested on light volume, so not a lot of selling now. And the next bar is up on slightly more volume, dipping further down into that bar. So that's looking That's still looking okay, I think, because it's showing some testing there. And let's try and see what line I can get on there. I think what I'll do is do a reverse flip there, and we're in fresh new ground now. Now the volume hasn't been excessive. See, like on this bar that knocked it right back. On this bar, it's still higher volume going up, which you need to break out. It's maintaining above that last high there. It looks like testing in there. So I'd say you look to your fibs for your targets. And then you've got one there at 149, or you can look at I'll see if I can get a pitchfork on there. It's not really a good one. Oh well, we've got this pivot low here. So it's around the median line. So it's broken, zoom through, come back and test it. It's at the top of it. That doesn't really tell us a lot when it's in the middle. It's more when we're looking for weakness and strength at the bottom tines. But I mean, it's in an uptrend, so it's in an uptrend at the moment. So that's good. And it looks like they're trying to absorb supply to the left. It's just very erratic. Oh, here we go. I had charted this way before. A little bit of increasing last one. So when did I chart this? 8th of March. Not sure if it has the volume to break through there, but it did actually break through there. This real high volume bar, it's gapped over there now. It's just ignored any trap supply up there, taking it up. Yeah. High volume up, but really not excessive. Gone up, catching supply, come back within the body of this bar. There's not a lot of C. Look at the volume compared to the volume in this bar here now. And we've maintained roughly, and have supported a low there within the body of the bar. That's looking like it can run again. Then we've got a test here and a confirmation here. So I think they can run again. And I would be looking, you've got the upper tine of your pitchfork there, you've got your fibs, I'd be looking at your fibs. I can probably have a look at let's have a look, what can we look at? Yeah, they're the ones I'd be using, the reverse fib from this last pivot high, or possibly even from this last pivot high. You got the 161 from this fib here, and then you've got the 161 over here for $1.28. So I think that can run further. And you're in a strong uptrend. It's not showing really signs of weakness, it's showing signs of testing at the moment. You are in an area where they were distributing before, so that's what you got to watch, but I think that's looking okay. I would expect that they would try and test this really high volume bar here at some stage, but at the moment what it looks like is that they're actually wanting to maintain above that gap, and they're testing within the body of this bar here. So but normally I'd be wary until they came and tested this bar here, but we do have a test here in a higher close. It hasn't closed above the high of that bar there yet, so possibly if they can break above there would be good. But you know, it's in an uptrend, so you can only go with that, can't you? There's your target resistance, $1.11 and $1.28, and then you've got $1.50 up above. and so that's looking okay.